Nobody actually tells the truth all the time. It's impossible. It's a physical impossibility. And the people that work at sea have a different attitude to people who work on land, and I can see it. They can see the big picture. Speaking to and associating with positive people is crucial. And by positive people, they could be anybody. They could be academics. They could be your bus driver. They could be anybody, but they're positive.
Welcome to PnP, the Partners in Positivity podcast, where
Aisling Burnett
and myself, Sarah Harty, warriors of EBP, SBP, DHBs, that's emotionally bulletproof, spiritually bulletproof, divine human beings, aim to wake up and shake up the nation through positivity, humour, and shared wisdom.
Before we get stuck into another awesome episode, we just want to let you know that we have a donation page if you wish to support the podcast and help us to continue providing more amazing episodes for you. If you want to Google Partners in Positivity, you'll find our Buzzsprout site, and on there you can find a support button. You can click on that and support to your heart's content, whether it's a one-time donation or a monthly subscription. We really appreciate all the donations that we get. Thanks so much. Enjoy the episode.
Today on the international stage of our PnP podcast, we have a legend of Galway. This man looks after the ships coming in and out of Galway Harbour. He runs the Galway Shipping Company and the Belgian Consulate. This is the one and only Mike Joyce. Mike, welcome to PnP.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. What I'm doing here, I don't know, but I'm sure I'll find out as we go along.
It was only a matter of time before we were going to have you on the podcast because, wait till the listeners hear this, back in October 2019 when we coined PnP, we actually dropped in to have a chat with the legend of Galway, Mike Joyce, and to ruffle up a couple of stories from him. And in that conversation, he told us something big about one of his behaviours.
Exactly.
When he smokes his cigars out the back door, when he's taken a couple of seconds for himself, he takes a deep breath in with his cigar and praises himself for all the great work that he does. And ever since he told us of this ritual that he has where he takes a breath for himself, praises himself, smoking the cigar, we said, okay, we're going to take that on board ourselves as PnPs. And anytime something profound happens, we take a deep inhale in, we release, and then we said, this is the MJ inhale. We were inspired by Michael Joyce, and we're taking that couple of seconds for ourselves here and there. Mike, can you believe that happened last October?
I do, and when I see the payment that comes into my account every Friday, I go, yeah, that's it was all worth it, wasn't it? Giving you all this information and you pay me this little royalty every Friday. Bless you. It's a pleasure to be here. Now, I'll have to give you a little bit of a government health warning of sorts because I do talk, I like to talk, but I have an awful habit of contradicting myself. So I'll be going along and think, yeah, this sounds really good, really interesting, and people who are listening to me, and then they realize, well, now he's saying the exact opposite. So you can take your pick, whichever you like, the first part or the second part.
Wow. I love that you're giving yourself that flexibility to change your mind.
Yeah.
Because it's a total
You'll need
process you're going through. And a wise man once told me that he was dishing out a bit of dating advice to a lady. It was something about black and white. Can you tell me what you said to that beautiful woman?
Well, yeah, she was a friend of mine and she was looking for advice. She was dating a number of guys on a dating agency, and she asked me to give her just a couple of pointers. So I said, okay, yeah, I'll give you pointers of things to avoid more than things to look out for, as in that you might find interesting. But definitely, I said, there are two things that I would suggest. If you hear either of these two, you run. And one of them is, if somebody says to you, I'm a very black and white person, It's either right or it's wrong. Then you run as fast as you can, as quick as you can. And the second one was where people say, I demand the truth. I always speak the truth, and I expect the truth from you. Bullshit. Because nobody does it. And I mean that in the best of mean. Nobody actually tells the truth all the time. It's impossible. It's a physical impossibility. Sometimes people will tell a lie to protect a partner or someone they really like. They're not going to tell them the truth and hurt them even further. So it's nonsense. So they were the two pieces of advice I gave her, and she's still single.
What are your thoughts on white
sweetheart.
lies? Is that what we're talking about?
Pardon?
Are you talking about white lies?
White lies, yeah.
So if someone is saying they're a very black and white person, what are you saying? That there's always a grey area?
Absolutely. The whole world is a grey area. There are very few, nobody can go through life, I think, with a black and white attitude that it's either right or it's wrong, or something happens. I mean, stuff happens and you have people who will look for somebody to blame. Something goes wrong. And a lot of people have this attitude, well, who's at fault here then? Somebody has to be held responsible for something going wrong. It just went wrong. Stuff happens, life happens.
Yeah.
There doesn't have to be a fall guy all the time. That's really what I was trying to get across to my friend Anna. And as I say, she's still single, but there you go. I think she's happy though.
Well, she's happy.
She was last time I spoke to her. But I when I hear that, the truth, because I probably have been on the back end of it, where I'd have heard from somebody would have said to me, "I demand the truth in all things," and so I said, "Okay, yeah." And then you find out, well, you weren't actually getting it either. So, what's truth? I mean, don't tell the full story. If somebody gives you half a story, that's leading you to think a certain way, that's a lie. I don't care what anybody else says. I mean, I saw Johnny and Mary, I saw John Murphy and Mary Smith going into the car at Great Southern the last day, or the Great Southern Hotel. Yeah. It could have been a perfectly normal, logical reason for the two of them to go in. They were work colleagues, whatever. But giving half a story and half a truth is a lie.
Yeah.
It's...
Yeah.
So when somebody says to you, if somebody says, "Oh, I demand the truth, I expect the truth in all things at all times," run. Forget it. It doesn't happen.
Great. And I know some people say even omitting parts of a story is not the truth as well. So it's very convoluted, really, isn't it?
Of course, and I mean that's a big one, and that's the person who gives you half a truth can look you in the eye and say, "Sarah, did I lie? Did I give you wrong information?"
Yeah.
Technically, they didn't, but they didn't tell you the truth.
Technically, that's the main word there.
Yeah, technically.
So, Mike Joyce, you're manning the docks here for, I don't know, a good 15 years or more. And you've showed me the radar of all these beautiful ships across Europe and as they're approaching Galway Harbour. What's the most fascinating thing about working amongst the ships and lifting that gate up and down, or open and closing on a daily basis?
Yeah, I think a job like this would not suit a 9-to-5 person. Ships and all things maritime. I mean, the old phrase, "Time or tide waits for no person." Well, there you go. It's crystal clear down here. The tide will not wait.
That's the truth.
That is the truth. That's it. And the people that work at sea have a different attitude to people who work on land, and I can see it. They can see the big picture. Something goes wrong. They have this inbuilt. What's the word I'm looking for?
Resilience?
Resilience, yeah. They look at things differently. Because when you're out at sea and something has gone wrong and there's a force 10 gale blowing and you're 300 miles off the west coast, calling the fire brigade is not an option. Or an electrician or a dentist or whatever. They have to sort it out amongst themselves. So they think differently. They're seeing the big picture all the time. And you can see it with them. And things that would annoy an ordinary person doesn't really bother them. The day-to-day stuff, they just breeze through it because they can see that is not a huge problem. And I love that. And the different nationalities, I mean, for a job, instead of traveling, that this is a perfect job because they come to you. They're all different nationalities: Germans, Dutch, British, Philippine, Indonesian, Russians, Ukrainians, Lithuanians, Latvians. They all come to Galway.
Yeah.
And I love when they come in because I'll work with them and we do what we have to do, but I'll also show them what Galway is all about. And Galway Port is unique in that the port itself is smack in the town centre.
Yeah.
That is most unusual. You go anywhere in Europe, they're 15, 20, 30 kilometres away from the city centre, out on the end of a jetty somewhere where there's nothing happening. They come into Galway and they're in Quay Street practically.
Access, yeah.
With everything that's going on there. And I like that. I like being able to show them around, to tell them do this, do that, and and
yeah. And just going back to the mindset of those people seeing the bigger picture, could we go a little bit deeper on that? How do you see that in people?
With them?
Yeah.
With the people in the maritime business? Well, you'd see it with when, for example, the ship would be here and we have a plan to unload the cargo, whatever, and we're hoping it's going to go a certain way, and it doesn't. So we have to change the plan. And that's not such a big deal. But here, people on the shore side would kick up with us because the plan, and the job is 9 to 5, and we want to go home, we want to do this. But when you're on a boat, when you're working on a ship, it's 24 hours, 7 days a week with them. So it doesn't really, they're not going to get hung up about if plan A doesn't work. Well, let's try plan B. And if that doesn't work, we'll try plan C. And that's the way they work. And I know you can't generalise about nationalities, but the Dutch, we get quite a few Dutch ships and cruising here. They're the masters of seeing the big picture. I've never seen anything like them. They just, nothing phases them.
Wow.
Nothing phases them. They go, yes, well, let's try this and let's try that. Well, that didn't really work out, and we can go and play. Yeah. And I think with the Dutch, it's like, it's inbuilt in their psyche, I think, but they're such a small country, 10, 12 million people living in that small, congested area. And there's no, their buildings, if you look at their buildings and their houses, they're all made to measure. There's no excess there. There's no wastage. And I think that's their attitude as well, their philosophy. Maybe I'm thinking too much into it, but I can see it with the Dutch. Wow. Definitely, they think differently. They if plan A doesn't work, that's fine. Let's go to plan B. Whereas other people might be losing the plot and have nervous breakdowns and whatever. No, and it's interesting to watch that.
Yeah.
And learn from it as well. Watch, you know what? Pick up the characteristics that you like in all the different nationalities. Yeah, I like that. Boom, I'll take this one.
Yeah, and this is why you reminded me again of why we call you the Legend of Galway, because there's a man down by the docks, if you care to call into him for a cup of tea, that has an inside scoop on the cultures of the world without leaving the country.
Yeah, he'll tell you.
Actually, you had a couple of questions, I think, did you?
Yeah, it's kind of reminded me of a conversation we had in the last 24 hours, and that's about, so you're saying people from the maritime business have that different mindset, but I'm saying sometimes our first world mentality doesn't help us because we think certain problems are a big problem. But after being to Africa in January, like, I just see how they react to certain situations and how they're happier than us in ways with certain things. And sometimes I'm like, God, that's actually a better way to be,
Absolutely. And if you want to look for an analogy here, and we're hopefully just coming out at the back end of a 4-month pandemic, but I think you'll find that a lot of people have slowed down and are going and are reverting to what you've seen when you visited Africa. And I've seen it in people that I know, and they're now observing things that they've never observed before, and they're now looking at things. Why are we doing that? Why are we doing it this way? Why can't we do it that way? Why can't we do it the way we've been forced to do it for the last couple of months? Even with relationships, you can see it. So, and I know what you mean. Yeah, I think we have reached a stage here in this society where this pandemic has stopped the merry-go-round, and if we take the advantages out of it, I think it'll be perfect. Take the pluses out of that. Getting off the merry-go-round for 4 months, and grab onto the things that now know that work, and dispatch the ones that don't work. Forget about them.
Right. I want to ask you then about the fear of change. So some people would have a fear of change, and we were talking like life is constantly changing. What would you say about that to help somebody that's trying to cling on to certain ways and stuff?
On a personal level, is it somebody that's clinging on to something?
I don't know, afraid to take risks, really, even if it's with a job or whatever.
Oh yeah, that's always the old saying where it's better to have
Risk and failed.
or better to have done something than not do it.
Yeah.
You'll never know. If you don't do it, you will never know. But at least if you do it and it goes arseways, at least you know. And nothing, even if you spent your entire life getting things wrong. And some people, you hear people criticizing, she's been married 5 times or he's been married 5 times. I'd say, good on you. They are going for it again and again, getting it wrong, and then it's a learning process all the way.
Yeah.
Nothing is ever a waste of time other than sitting on your arse and doing nothing all your life. That's a complete waste of time, I think. But even getting it wrong, I'd have much more respect for somebody who gets it wrong all the time. Not making the same mistake all the time, obviously. But trying if you're making the same mistake, there's something really. But people, I'd have, the try and plan A doesn't work. B, C, D, E, and they're all different plans, and they're not working for whatever reason. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. It's where you don't do anything, afraid, for whatever reason, not to go with your instinct.
Mm-hmm.
I don't always do it. But
anything in terms of overcoming that fear or pushing through with courage, how do you do that? Any advice on jumping the hurdle?
Ooh, yeah. This. Well, for myself, speaking to and associating with positive people is crucial. And by positive people, they could be anybody. They could be academics. They could be your bus driver. They could be anybody, but they're positive. And gleaning from those, and so Toastmasters is a big one because they're by and large mostly positive people, and it was huge. And I've been in Toastmasters 20 years, and you have to well say that. And there've been times I've gone into Toastmasters meetings, and this was the last place I wanted to be because things were going very badly in my personal life. But Toastmasters was like 2 hours of positivity and they're all like myself. They were just, ordinary Joe Soaps and Mary Soaps, ordinary people. So linking up with positive people and listening to them, whether they're, as I say, your bus driver or the academic or even music. Music is huge. You can just, the music that really does it for you. And watching musicians play, you go, that's and it instills positivity in you. It just makes you feel good. You just go, right.
That's exceptional. So what the hell is life all about?
That's a very good question. What is life all about? Well, for me, what is life all about? I didn't know you, Sarah, at the time, but 8 years ago, I stopped drinking alcohol, right? And drank a lot. It was a problem. And had been drinking since about 15, 16, 17. So stopped. It's in the last 80 years that things have become clearer. And they're continually to become clearer. And we were talking earlier on, stuff that I thought was important 5 years ago. You go, no, not really. It's not important anymore. So the clarity was the thing that I was missing. Other people wouldn't necessarily have a drink problem or drinking too much, but you have to get that clarity. What is it all about? Why should I be worried about what other people think? That's their business, not my business. I think a lot of that comes though as you're going through life. I'll go back to the positivity people. The people I admire most that are the positive people. And not necessarily the ones that scream it from the podiums, but the positive people that you see. The lady working at Dunn Stores, always positive. And you know why? I love meeting you every day, going in here, just chatting, having a bit of 10-second, 15-second chat with you because you have it. That type of thing. What's life all about? Just staying positive as best you can. Very, very difficult. Very, very difficult at times. But negative people are to be avoided. And negative people can take many guises.
Yeah.
You may not see them as negative people. You look back and you think, yeah, they were negative. Words people use. But, negative people are great for using the right words. Or like half a sentence. They're lying. But negative words and questioning why now, Aisling? Why are you going to do that? Why are you thinking like that? But again, it's just, I suppose, what's life all about? You just avoid all that bullshit. Trying to identify it, I suppose, just takes life experience. Have I contradicted myself yet?
That's brilliant. I love it.
We're so impressed. We didn't even notice we were.
What?
Yeah. So also there's a place for negativity. Discuss.
Absolutely. And okay. Let me. I'm doing a Joe Brolly on it here.
Here comes the contradiction.
I don't know if you know Joe Brolly, the GA pundit.
No.
Joe Brolly.
No.
Oh, you have to check this guy out, Joe Brolly. Joe, and he talks like this, like he's from Derry, and he goes on, and he contradicts himself all over the place. But he's brilliant. He's absolutely brilliant. What I mean by negativity is different from being cynical, which is also different from being critical. And I think you must have an element of cynicism in your approach to things. Controlled cynicism. A kind of a bullshit identifier alert. Like when somebody says to you, I'm a very black and white person, and I always demand the truth, looking at you in your eyes, and you're going, yeah, no. And you must have a degree of cynicism. And I go back to music. Music is, for me, that is really, I cling on to it because I love it. And the great Lou Reed, who Sarah didn't know who Lou Reed was until I had to explain to her. Some people would listen to Lou Reed and will immediately tell you, I'll never listen to Lou Reed, he's too depressing. But they're not listening. He's cynical. Absolutely. And he's a great line in it where life, he's talking about American life at the moment. And he's saying how Americans don't care for beauty. They'll shit in a river and dump battery at us in a stream and then they complain they can't swim. And his classic line is, he said, I just stick a fork in their ass, turn them over, they're done. They're barbecued, And I go, yeah. How many people do you know in your life here and publicly and privately you'd look, oh, you're finished, you're toast, you're forget it. Stick the stick, the bar, turn them over, they're done. And that kind of, cynicism, not negativity. Negativity is, no. But that degree of cynicism, don't necessarily believe, and Lou Reed again says, believe half of what you see and none of what you hear. And I always use that one, I believe half of that. I try to stick to it. Somebody tells me something, okay, I'll believe it for the moment, but it's
yeah.
People can talk.
Yeah.
By Jesus, they can
and then
talk.
there's there's a difference between believing in them as a person and then believing in what they're saying.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Oh, there are people who know. I don't want to come across as a complete. There are people who I would believe completely.
Yeah.
In my private life, they would, and people who speak to me and tell me things, and I go, I have no reason to believe otherwise, and I would.
Yeah.
I'd believe it, and that's good to know that and they know that they have you have this relationship with them.
Yeah.
You can tell them things, they can tell you things, and it's true. It's not going to be twisted around and you're not going to be misinterpreted. And that's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's all life all about? Trying to get that balance. Yeah. Who are the bullshitters? Who are the time wasters? Yeah. And who are the people that'll lift you, do it for you, observe them, listen to them. Yeah, they're the people. And it's just that little balancing act. And it is a balancing act. And the older you get, the better you get at it. It should be. You should be. Unless you weren't paying attention in class at all.
Now that we have this advice, we're going to be practicing that balancing act from here on in. Mike, before we ask a last question, I have to bring you back to last year where we kind of turned the MJ inhale. Mm-hmm. Are you still smoking the cigar?
No.
What's happened since? No. Tell us.
Stopped. And I know you're going to ask me why. What was it? Different things, and I can't actually think why. I suppose I'm a big avoider of repetition. I don't know. I'm looking at my life and I go, oh, repetition just bores me. I get bored very quickly if it's the same thing happening all the time. Living, doing the getting up in the morning, going to work, come home to do walk the dog, da. Oh man, no, I can't do that. And I think there was a little bit of that in it, so stopped.
Just how long were you smoking the cigar for?
Jeez, 17 years. And the look at and here, and it goes to show you like how things work, and you just don't know how life's going to pan out. Then came the pandemic, so I'm saving about €100 a week and can't spend it because there's nothing to do. Cannot spend it. Can't go to the Salt Hill Hotel like some people I know. Can't go anywhere, do anything. So all this money is just accumulating there and going, thank you very much. Now, there'll be a trip coming somewhere soon.
You've got to spend that money and live your life.
Yeah.
Now, Mike Joyce, I want you to consider something.
Yes.
The PnPs, the Partners in Positivity, are hugely influential in the most positive ways. We've heard from the grapevine. Now, maybe it was a case that day when we met you back here and we talked about the habit of smoking a cigar, and we didn't judge you that day, that we liberated you to make a better decision for yourself. How do you feel about that, Todd? Is there any truth in that?
Well, you never know. You never know. So, as I said, I'm finding it difficult to answer why I did stop. You wouldn't know. It could very well have been something in there that you said to me at the time.
One sentence.
One word would do
that
it.
Day was like, we're going to do the MJ inhale, but without the cigar. So maybe we gave you full permission to do it without the cigar.
Yeah, well, you don't know. It was like, but I go back to when I stopped drinking alcohol, and I met a guy on a Saturday morning. He was a friend of a friend. We spoke for about 2 hours. He didn't tell me to do anything. He was an addiction counsellor. He was just doing it as a friend, a favour for a friend. And he just spoke. I didn't say anything, or very little. And I listened to him, and left. And that evening I decided, that's it. So obviously, he said something that went in here somewhere and percolated around for a while. So maybe you did the same thing.
You let that idea marinate around your juicy brain.
And let it come out somewhere like coffee beans.
Yeah.
Oh, we're losing the run here.
We're having a ball here. Mike, I feel like every sentence and every word, I love the way you tell stories. I'd be just hooked. And there's so much wisdom in everything that you say. But if you could give us just one piece of MJ wisdom from the amazing life you've had, what would that be?
Oh yeah, cut me off the hop with that one. One piece of advice: keep it simple. Keep life simple.
Drop the mic, Mike.
Yeah, just keep it simple. There's no need. Life is complicated enough, or can be. Don't further complicate it by further complicating it, and keep it simple. Keep it as simple as you possibly can, and that will give you more time to do what you want to do. Listen to the good music. Go on holidays to wherever you want to do. Do the stuff you want to do, even if it's in your own back garden. But keep it simple.
Amazing. I'm done.
Brilliant.
I'm complete now.
We are now complete. Mike Joyce, as always, it's a pleasure for me to have a conversation with you.
Thanks for being in our lives, and
thank you for coming in and
for being part of the birth of Partners in Positivity, really.
Yeah.
You know, you liberated us to be ourselves.
And I have to say, you hold true on that title of The Legend of Galway time and time again with all the stories you've imparted to me over the last couple of years. And I know there's many more.
There's a lot more, yeah.
But yeah, what a great backdrop. We're here in the offices of the Galway Shipping Company, and we have the
Belgian Consulate coat of arms
here behind us, and it has been such a joy and a pleasure to spend a Monday in your company. Thanks so much for your time, and that is all from PnP today.
Thank you very much indeed. Pleasure's been mine.
Congratulations, well done. Pat yourself on the back. You're officially now a partner in positivity with us. If this is your first episode, we're so grateful. If this is your 40th episode, we're equally as grateful for your ears, for your heart, for taking this time out for yourself and committing to your own positive mental health journey. Our intention for this podcast is for you to feel a little bit better afterwards. So we hope you take some time now to check in with yourself. How did you feel before? How do you feel now? And we've definitely done our job if you feel a little bit better, and especially if you want to come back for more next week. If you do want to support us, we actually have a Ko-fi donation page. It's ko-fi.com/partners in positivity. We really value the work that we're doing. We know there's so much positive and negative in the world, and we want to contribute to people feeling their best. So we appreciate all of the donations we've had so far and welcome any more that are on the way. Thank you in advance. Also, if you got something of value from this and you want to share with friends or family to add to this trend of positivity in the world, we would love to be tagged in any posts on social media. You know where to find us. Other than that, guys, have an incredible week ahead, and we look forward to feeding you some more nourishment for that beautiful mind, that beautiful garden of yours next week.